Hey, what's up? I'm back with a project update. It has been a little while. I've been on call with work, so that's been keeping me tied to being at home, as well as just being busy with some other stuff. But as you can see, the LCD is not here, and that is because I have it mounted. It is mounted up. There it is. So this is where the instrument... I really need to get a wide-angle camera. But that's the instrument rack directly above where my computer is, and then on the far right side I decided to mount it there. I was originally going to mount it right here, but the back there is thin, like particle board, and you know, to mount something there I'd have to screw from the back, and the workbench is right up against the wall, and it is monstrous and way too heavy to move, so that's not really a viable option. So I decided to mount it up here because on the side next to my bench multimeter, I realized there's a ton of space over here. So I got really thin plywood, mounted the LCD through it since it's panel mount. It's not actually permanently attached. I don't know if you can tell if there's no screws on there or not, but it's not. I just kind of have my LCR meter leaning against it to kind of hold it up. But it's mounted up against a 4x4, meaning behind it there's, well, 4x4s aren't actually 4 inches, but I think it's like 3 3/4 or so inches worth of room back there, which would be plenty to put the microcontroller, the shield, all the wiring, the real-time clock, yada yada. So I'll get all that mounted back behind there, drill a hole in the back that's pretty sizable so then I can fit the wiring for the LED light strips, that gray USB cable which plugs into the soldering iron and reflow station power board thing. I don't know what the hell you call that. Wiring for the fume extractor that I've not made yet, but basically it'll just be ready for me to plug some fans into it. Real-time clock, which I realize my code does not work without the real-time clock plugged in, which is kind of one of those engineering pitfalls. You just don't think of some of these things until you run into the problem. I didn't actually run into the problem. I just want to see if my menu system I had memorized well enough to operate this without the screen, but came to realize that the code does not work. I think it's perpetually stuck in screensaver mode without the real-time clock plugged into it, or some other bug. I'll have to figure it out. It's not really a big deal, but it would kind of suck to not be able to turn my lights on someday if, for example, the battery in the real-time clock died. So definitely do need to do something on the code to take care of that, at least to make it continue to work. Only it'll say, you know, screensaver disabled or real-time clock not functioning or something. By the way, tons of other wiring for the actually it's this one right up here. That's the wiring that controls the fans for the back of the instrument rack. I got wires for the real-time clock, wires which don't need to be long, and then wires for the LCD, which are what you see right here, and wires for the infrared receiver since I'm controlling all of this with a remote. But as far as location, here is about the center of the workbench whenever I'm using the computer part. So this is center, so you'd have to look up and to the right to see the where the LCD is mounted for the workbench controller. But I think it's a good location because it's angled towards the center of the workbench, but since it's mounted over here, if I'm sitting where basically my soldering station is over here, and I look up, the screen's right there. So I think it's kind of a good location. That wasn't where I originally planned, but I think this spot will actually work out better. And I think it'll be cleaner too because it's kind of dark back there, and so that leaves me with plenty of room behind it to mount all my stuff and wiring, and it'll be tidy and out of sight. Versus down here, there's lots of lighting. It's down at eye level, so it would have been a little trickier, and I would have had to put some more work into it. But anyways, that's where it's going to go. Hopefully, I know I keep saying this, but hopefully the next video will be the completely done, finished product, everything mounted, ready to go, and I'll be able to show it off. The only thing that won't be done is the fume extractor, but that'll be my next project probably after all this crap is mounted and completed. And oh, I still have to mount this underneath too, but that's, I mean, that's trivial. I've already tested it and we know it works, so just got to mount it, mount everything back behind there, and we'll be good to go. So see you later.